makeup tutorial and a bit of a chatty update of what has been going on my life. This is the look that I had on the Charlotte Tilbury video, which I filmed a while ago, and it was a brand review. I'll link it on the screen if you haven't seen it. But a lot of people requested me to recreate this look because people like my makeup, so I've tried my best to do that today. And also a lot of people asked me for a full makeup routine on an everyday basis. So my makeup routine doesn't vary a lot if I kind of do an event makeup or I do a kind of normal daily routine makeup, but this sort of makeup is what I wear on an everyday basis. I did amp it up a little bit for the video, which would make it a little bit more kind of evening appropriate maybe. So I have in the tutorial explained the bits I would have left out if I was to do this just on a kind of day-to-day basis for a daily makeup. But yeah, if I go out in the day and I'm meeting friends for lunch, or I'm going out shopping, or I'm going for a business meeting, I do tend to do a quite full-on makeup. So I do take a good 45 to 50 minutes to do my makeup. I know it sounds like a lot, but it is what I take most of my time in. I am ready in 1.5 hours because I don't have to do my hair and stuff normally, but I do take a good 40-45 minutes to do my makeup. So I didn't want to pretend like I take 5 minutes and I just turn out looking like this. So I've done a very in-depth routine, and now that the warmer days are here, I also tend to set my makeup quite a lot. Thin layers, powder, kind of setting spray, you know the gist. So yeah, I've explained all of that in my routine and also given you a bit of an update as to why I haven't been updating my blog, why the site is out. So stay tuned if you want to find out more, but before that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. I would love to have you back on the channel again. And also don't forget to follow me on social media, and don't forget to ding the bell so that you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And without further ado, let's get straight into the tutorial because it's a very long one. Okay guys, so here you have me with a completely bare-faced. All I have is my skincare, which I use every day before I put my makeup on. So if you want to see a full skincare routine, then definitely let me know in the comments below and I will do a video of my daily skincare routine and my cleansing routine. I don't do too much in the mornings, to be honest. I like to keep it quick and simple when it comes to skincare because I spend so much time on my makeup. So I do more at night, but I do a kind of quick, simple routine in the morning. So if you want to see more of that, let me know. But now I just have that and we're going to go straight in with makeup. Okay, so when it comes to foundation, normally what I do is what I've done in every single video pretty much up to now, which is use a little bit of my Hydra BB cream and my YSL Touche Éclat foundation, and I mix these two in. This one's a very light, luminous foundation, and I really like the BB cream because it adds a bit more coverage, but it's also still quite natural, and it has SPF 30, which means I don't need to apply a separate SPF. And like I mentioned before, I don't usually use primer. I'm not a big fan. So I use this as a primer because I find that when I put this on, it makes my makeup last a lot longer. If I'm in a super rush, then on an everyday basis, I might use just the BB cream. I do prefer it mixed in with a foundation, but if I'm in a rush or if I'm just kind of going to be running errands, then sometimes I'll just use a BB cream. Today though, I'm going to mix it in with the NARS, I need to read the name because I never remember this one, the All Day Luminous Sheer Glow Radiant Cream Foundation. And I'm going to be using the medium 1. I've got a little tester here because I'm trying it out. So let's see how we get on with this one. I'm going to mix it in with the BB cream though because that's how I usually prefer my foundations. So I'm just going to apply 1 pump of the BB cream, and then because this one is in a little kind of jarry thing, I'm just going to take a bit with my finger and mix it in with my BB cream on the back of my hand, and then I'm just going to dot this all over my face and use fingers to blend it in, which is usually how I apply all my foundations. So instantly I can see that this foundation provides more coverage than the YSL Touche Éclat, I think, and it's also a bit warmer, or yeah, I mean it's a bit, the YSL Touche Éclat is more kind of yellowy but pasty, and this one's a little bit more bronzy, a little bit warmer, more of a peachy tone than so much of a yellow tone. But it still looks quite radiant and natural. We'll see how it fares when I've done all my makeup, but it looks alright for now. I'm just going to blend it all in using my beauty blender, which is what I like to do because like I've mentioned 1,000 times before, the Beauty Blender makes sure that there's no kind of excess product. It gives you a really flawless finish. And as you can see, my skin already, I mean, it does look a bit cakey because I put foundation over my lips, but I find that that makes lipstick last longer. But already you can see that it looks a lot less cakey than when I initially applied it with fingers. It's become really sheer, and I'm actually really liking this foundation. It looks really good. I'm just going to take what's left on the back of my hand, and with the Beauty Blender I'm just going to dab it on the areas where I need a little bit more coverage, which is usually underneath my eyes and around my nose area, and the areas where I've got kind of blemishes or breakouts. I tend to break out quite a lot. I've got very oily skin, but now my skin is not too bad actually. I can't complain. I shouldn't have said that, I'll probably jinx it now. But yeah, I do spend a lot of time blending in my foundation and making sure it's all kind of nice and even and it's not cakey and it's well blended into the forehead. And I find that blending is probably the most important part to make your application last, but not only that, to make it look natural. And because I wear quite a lot of makeup, then this is super important. Okay, so now that I've applied my foundation, I'm going to go in with a corrector, and I'm using the Naked Skin Urban Decay Concealer, and this one is in the salmony colour. I think it's called Peach, yeah. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to apply this where I have a darkness. So I've got kind of brownish, greyish under eye darkness. So a more pinky concealer works very well to kind of lift that area and stop it from looking so sallow. And my darkness goes all the way underneath my eye, all the way to here. So I'm just applying this where I've got kind of darkness and where I've got any pigmentation. So I've got a little bit of pigmentation around my nose, a little bit around my lips. And this is just going to kind of lift those areas, remove the darkness, kind of cancel it out and just make them look less sallow. And then I'm going to go in with my finger and I'm going to blend this out. And I really like this corrector. I was using the Touche Eclat one before, the corrector that they have from YSL. And I really like the pen format, I have to admit. I preferred it to this little wand. But I think this is more pink than the other one. The other one was more orangey, and I find that this one works better in the areas which are more kind of greyish or brownish. But I did prefer the YSL one underneath my eyes. They're both kind of quite thin and easily blendable, so they're both good. It's just, I think underneath my eyes the YSL worked better, but in other areas of my face where I've got kind of sallow spots, this one works a bit better because it's more pink. So now after blending that in with fingers, I'm going to go in with my Clé de Peau concealer, my usual, and I'm just going to use this to conceal any kind of blemishes or underneath my eyes. As you can see, my routine for my makeup is always pretty much the same if you've seen quite a few tutorials, but so many of you requested that I do an everyday makeup look and also the makeup look which I wore in my Charlotte Tilbury video, which is kind of reviewing the brand. If you haven't seen that, I'll link that on the screen now. But a lot of you requested that I do the look on that video. So that look is basically my everyday look, but just kind of a bit more glammed up. So I'm going to be doing that one, but I'll explain. I mean, the base, to be fair, I do the same whether it's more glammed up or whether it's everyday. I do spend a lot of time on my base, even on an everyday basis, because I just find that I have really kind of dark under eye circles. So if I don't spend time kind of correcting my base and making that look good, then no matter what I do to my eyes or my lips or whatever, it just doesn't look great. So I do spend a lot of time on my base. Again, thin layers, super important to make your makeup last. And I'm just taking this Shuramura brush. It's a concealer brush, and I'm just using this to apply the concealer, and I find it's better than with fingers because I take less product. If I use fingers, sometimes it's easy to kind of make it look a bit cakey. And this concealer is amazing because it just blends in so well. It doesn't dry out, even though it's quite a thick concealer in the sense that it provides very, very high coverage. It's just not drying or cakey at all. It blends in like a dream, and I haven't found anything like it. I do have quite a few old blemish marks around here, so I'm just using this to conceal those. So guys, I wanted to give you a bit of an update on my life. So some time ago I did a video a vlog telling you we were moving to Tokyo again. I'll link that on the screen now if you haven't seen that one. But we are no longer moving to Tokyo. We're staying in London for now because my husband got a great opportunity in London, and plus it just didn't kind of make sense for us to move there. It was, he got a better opportunity here in London, and also for me personally, for my work, it just didn't make sense for us to move over to Tokyo. So it just worked out for the better for both of us that we're staying here in London. I'm going to go in with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm going to use this more as of a highlighter than a concealer. So I'm going to apply this in the usual spots. I'm going to apply this underneath my eyes, just in a sort of inverse triangle, and I'm trying to, again, keep the layers quite thin. I'm going to apply it on the center of my nose, making a straight line that goes all the way to the tip. And here I'm going to make it a bit broader on the top, because this part of my nose is really thin and then it kind of broadens towards the tip, and I sort of want to balance the shape out. I'm going to apply a little bit on the corners of my mouth just to lift this, center of my chin, and on the center of my forehead, just to brighten this area up a little bit. And then I'll blend this out with fingers, and then we'll see if I need more. So as I was saying, yeah, it just didn't make sense for us to move to Tokyo for my work, and he got a better opportunity here. So we're staying in London, which I'm very happy. I mean, I did love Tokyo when we went and visited it. It was a beautiful city and so different. I mean, I was excited about moving there because there were so many kind of different beauty things to try out, and it was just exciting to live in a new place, and it was such a different place as well. But obviously the language barrier was a huge problem because we don't speak Japanese, and it seems like English is not as common there as it might be in other countries in Asia, maybe like Singapore. So it seems like not speaking the language was a big problem, and it's a very difficult language to learn. So because we were moving there for a short period of time, we probably wouldn't have had the chance to learn the language, and it was just it was also very, very far from home, and that was kind of sad that I was going to be so far away from my family. So it did have pros and cons. So in the end, I mean, we are happy that we've stayed in London, and I'm also happy because from a work perspective it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I do think I would love to visit Tokyo again to explore the city more, because the last time we went, unfortunately, we weren't able to do kind of a lot of touristy stuff because we were house hunting. So we didn't have that much time to kind of explore the city, and I would love to go back. Okay, now I'm going to go in with this LA Girl Pro Concealer, which is in the color Toast. And I'm just going to use this to cream contour. I always like to cream contour underneath powder contour because I just find it lasts longer, it looks a lot more defined. And I really want to get my hands on the Kim Kardashian West contour kit, but unfortunately it's just sold out everywhere, so I'm really kind of watching out for that one because I really want to get my hands on it. I've heard it's really, really good. If I did get it, I will be doing a review on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And I'm just going to apply this in the usual spot, so underneath my cheekbones. And my cheekbones are quite low, so I like to lift it up and actually put it on my cheekbone as opposed to underneath to create the shadow there and make it look like my cheeks are a little bit lifted. I only contour my nose on the tip because, like I said, the top is quite thin already, so it doesn't need much contouring. And also I don't contour my forehead because it's already quite small. I'm going to go in with this brush. This is from Real Techniques, and I think it's the face brush, and I'm going to use it to blend out the contour a little bit. On my chin always, and my jawline always dragging downwards, and on my cheekbones always pushing upwards, because you want to lift those cheekbones. And then I'm just going to use it to blend a little bit the contour on my nose. Then I'm going to use the Beauty Blender just to blend it out even more. And I'm also going to blend it with the Beauty Blender around my nose area. And I like to pinch in the Beauty Blender just so that it's not so thick. Bake a little bit because my skin is quite greasy and oily, and I just find that my makeup doesn't last very, very long unless I do this. And I really like this to brighten my under eye area. I just find the concealer doesn't crease, it lasts longer, it's just amazing. So I'm taking the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, which is like a white translucent powder, and it's very finely milled. So I'm going to use this with the Beauty Blender and just apply quite a lot underneath my eyes just to bake this area a little bit. And I'm applying it wherever I've applied the highlight concealer. So in a sort of triangular shape underneath my eyes, and also going into the side of my nose. If you want to see a more in-depth video about baking, there is one on my channel, so I will link that on the screen right now. Applying a little bit on my chin as well, and a little bit around my forehead, which is where I tend to get oily, and the center of my nose, and also a little bit underneath my contour here, just to define that more and just brighten that area. So now I'm going to take a brush. I don't let it sit for very long. Immediately after, I just brush it off, because otherwise I find it just gets too cakey and it starts to kind of look kind of horrible. So I'm just going to take the brush and adding a little bit more powder. I'm just going to dust off the bit here, my chin, just add a little bit of powder more. Just dust this off, dust off the bit of my nose, and then I'm just going to dust off the powder underneath my eyes, apply a little bit on my eyelid just to mattify that. Then to set the rest of my face, because I always like to set all of my face, because otherwise I find that the powder contours or the bronzers, they just look very, very kind of streaky. So I'm using the loose powder by Chanel, and I've put a little bit on the lid, and I'm just taking this big brush by Dior, which is a blush brush, and I'm using this to set my contour on my cheeks. And I'm just pressing this in, and I find that if I don't use this powder, this concealer tends to separate, so I need to really set it in with this before, or otherwise during the day it just separates. And this is in a little bit of a darker colour than my skin tone. It's in the colour 40 Doré, I think, and I like this because I'm using it to set the contour, so I want it to be a little bit darker. To set the rest of my face, I'm using the By Terry Imperlious Wilder Pearl powder, because I like this. It's so kind of natural and it brightens your skin a little bit. It has sort of 3 colours. I just mix them all in and it gives you sort of a bronzy look. I'm using this to kind of set my cheek area, give it a bit of a glow so that my skin doesn't look so matte. My forehead, my nose, and just going down onto my neck. Okay, so that's my makeup all set. Now I'm going to go straight into eyes. Set my eyes, I'm using this NARS Pro Prime eyeshadow base. You can use any. To be fair, I had the Dior one before and I much preferred it to this one. I am not really loving this one. I mean, it makes your eyeshadow last, but I don't know, I just find the other one made the eyeshadow kind of easier and smoother to apply. I just kind of blend this in with fingers a little bit just to set it in. And I'm going to go in with a bit of the loose powder I used earlier from Chanel and just use that to set in the primer. And then I'm going to use these little post-it notes. If you haven't seen me use these before, where have you been, guys? And I'm going to use this as an eyeshadow shield. I'm just going to apply this from the corner of my eye to the corner of my brow, just so that my eyeshadow doesn't go past that. I love to use these as a guide. First, this cream shadow by Dior, it's in the colour Meteor, and I'm using this brush from the Urban Decay palette, which I really love. I'm using the thicker side. I'm just going to take this eyeshadow and just apply it all over my lid, going well into the crease. And this is again another sort of primer, because again it makes the eyeshadow last longer. And I love it because it has kind of a golden shimmer running through it. It's a little bit glittery, but it's not too much, so you can even wear it during the daytime. But to be honest, if I was doing this as an everyday look, I'd probably skip this step. And I would go in directly with the next step. Taking a fluffy brush. This one is from Sigma, and I think it's the E100, yeah. I'm taking this sort of mid-toned color, which is like a brick kind of reddish brown, but it's not too red, and it's got a bit of a kind of bronze shimmer running through it, and it's from the Topaz Mosaic palette from Estee Lauder, and I think this was a limited edition palette, but you can probably find a similar shade. So I'm just going to use this onto my crease, but kind of going a little bit above my crease, because I've got kind of hooded eyes, so if I just apply it on my crease, when I open my eyes, you just can't see anything. So the best thing to do is to look straight ahead and just make sure that when your eyes open, you can still see the color going above. So I'm just gonna kind of use the brush to apply a soft layer, just blending it in using circular motions, just to blend in the color really well. And see what I mean? Like with this NARS primer, it just kind of doesn't blend in so nicely. It kind of sticks to your skin. And I found with the Dior one, this never used to happen. So I just need to spend a bit more time blending, that's it, but it's annoying. So another update I wanted to give you is, I know my uploads haven't been as regular and I have missed quite a few uploads, and I've been uploading 1 video a week as opposed to 2 for a couple of weeks. And I firstly wanted to apologize for this, but the reason for this is that I am, if you haven't checked my blog, then you will have not seen this, but I am building a brand new site for my blog, and I'm kind of working on a few new projects, and there's some really exciting stuff. I'm going to have much better photography and hopefully a lot more varied content in terms of video, because I know a lot of people are asking me to do more fashion content. Cooking is something I also really am very passionate about, so I'm hoping to do more cooking videos and what I eat in a day videos. Hopefully some fitness videos as well, because people have asked for that, and yeah, and just more content which is more lifestyle as well, and a lot more fashion and styling content, which I haven't done so much of on YouTube because it's very difficult to film that by yourself. And unfortunately, I didn't have any help right now. I was doing everything by myself, the filming, the editing, the photographs, and when you don't have somebody else to do it for you, it's really hard to film yourself, to especially do fashion content. So a lot more of that is coming your way. I'm working on some exciting stuff with some very nice people who are going to be helping me film this content and get the new website up, and I'm super excited about this, so stay tuned because I will be announcing in a video when the new content for the website is coming up and when the website is going live again. I do a lot of fashion content, so if you like fashion, then definitely check out my blog once it goes live again. But yeah, a lot more exciting content is coming your way, and I've been kind of planning and doing all of that and really working to kind of get the right people on board, and that's why I have been kind of a little bit less regular with my uploads, and it's just because there's been so much going on behind the scenes that I just haven't had the time to film and edit and kind of get everything on track. But I promise that I think in about a month's time everything will be sorted and I'll be back on track again. Continuing with my eye makeup, I'm going to go in with, by the way, this last step I did with the bronzy shadow, I would do even if I was doing an everyday makeup look. And I'm going to go in with a Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a palette, and I'm using this kind of very cool toned medium brown, and I'm using this as a contour shade, so actually to shade my crease. And because I said I have hooded eyes, I really like to make my crease look a little bit deeper, so this is great to just kind of shade that in and just add depth to the crease of your eye. So I'm literally just plugging this into the crease with the same brush and just using it to create a shadow there. So using wind swiper motions, again, this one is just going into the crease because we just want to create some depth. I'm going to go in with the Sophisticate palette, again by Charlotte Tilbury. I love these eyeshadows. Again, I mentioned this in my Charlotte Tilbury video, which I'll link below as well. And I'm using this shade, which is a darker kind of brown, but a very brown, like this one is more of a grayish brown. This one is a very pure brown and it's very pigmented. And I'm using this just on the outer corner of my eye, just to add a little bit of definition, and then with what's remaining on the brush, I'm just going to take it into the crease a little bit. And I'm using a smaller number 7 blending brush. Again, it's a fluffy brush, but it's just a little bit more tapered than the Sigma brush. And I'm just using this right on the corner of my eye, creating an outer sort of V. It's like a V shape going into the crease and into the eye. And then I'm just taking the remainder amount into the crease to blend it in. Then I'm taking this Eyelure palette, which is the brow palette by Fleur de Force, which I love. The texture is so creamy, it's so easy to blend in, very finely milled. I really like this. And I'm taking the same Urban Decay brush and I'm just going to clean this on the back of my hand. And I'm taking this highlighter shade and I'm just using, this is kind of a matte but with a bit of a sheen to it. And I'm just using this to highlight underneath my brow and clean up. And I like to do this after I've applied the transition shades because I find that sometimes they can go a bit too far up. So with this, I just kind of clean it all up. And I'm applying a little bit of this in the inner corner of my eye as well. And then I'm going to go over the top of this with my Jaclyn Hill Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. And I'm just going to apply this over the top of the Fleur de Force highlight. This just adds a bit more golden shimmer, and again, if I was doing a daytime, everyday routine, I would skip this step. This is better for evening, but I'm just recreating the look on that Charlotte Tilbury video. I'm taking this into my tear duct as well just to add a bit of sheen there, and then using my Sigma brush, I'm just going to blend it all in so that it looks kind of nice and natural. I'm going to go back in with the cream shadow by Christian Dior, and I'm just going to apply this on my lower lash line, just using the same Urban Decay brush. And then I'm going to take off my eyeshadow barriers, and as you can see, that leaves a really nice clean line there. But I'm just going to dust off whatever's kind of fallen outside the barrier, and I'm just going to use the same Sigma brush just to blend out this line so that it doesn't look so harsh. Okay, now taking this pencil brush from Charlotte Tilbury, I'm going to go in with the Meat Brown shade I used from her Sophisticate palette, and I'm just going to use this to line my lower lash line. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the gel liner from Estee Lauder, and I'm going to use a small angled brush, and I'm going to use this to line my upper lash line. I'm creating a thin line with a slight wing on the outside. And then I'm going in with a liquid liner. I'm using this Maybelline one, which I really like. Just using this to intensify the line, make it a little bit more black. And then I'm going to take the brush again, just to soften the edges of the line without taking any more product. Just using to blend the liner a little bit and make it a little bit softer. Okay, and then using the same brush, I'm going to use a mix of these two colours in the Sophisticate palette, the more brown, and the one which is a bit of a greyish brown. And I'm just going to use this to line my lower lash line. And then I'm just using this E100 brush to blend everything in a little bit. And I'm taking this all the way out till the end of the wing, so winging the bottom a little bit as well. I'm going to go in with a black eye pencil. This one's by Chantecaille, and I'm going to tight line my upper waterline. And on the bottom, I'm going to use the black just to tight line my waterline, but only in the outer corner, just a little bit there in the corner, as you can see. And then I'm taking this brown pencil by Charlotte Tilbury, which is the classic Audrey pencil, and I'm using this to line the rest of my lower waterline, blending it in with the black pencil. So it's going to give you kind of a blackish brown. If I was doing it just for every day, I would just use the brown. I wouldn't bother with the black on the bottom lower line. I'm going to let those pencils sit a little bit, and in the meantime I'm going to do my brows, and I'm going to use this pencil by Estee Lauder. This is the Automatic Brow Pencil Duo, and this is in the medium brown, I think, or the blonde brown, something like that. Soft brown, that was the colour. And I'm just going to fill in my brows, following my natural shape, but just thickening them a little bit because my eyebrows are quite thin naturally, and they have like bits which don't have hair, like around here. So I'm just following my eyebrow shape, angling them a little bit so that that arch is a little bit more prominent. And I'm just using small strokes just to simulate hairs. And then I'm just using a spoolie to brush over them, blend all of that pencil in. And then I'm going to use my Beauty Blender just to clean up around the brow. And then I'm going to go in with an angled brush, and I really like this one by Mikasa, and then I'm going to go in with the Fleur de Force, if I can open it, with the eyeliner palette I used earlier, and I'm going to mix in the lighter and the darker colour. This one is in the dark I think this one's the dark. I'll link every product below, so if you have any doubts about what I'm using, I will link everything below. And I'm just going to use this powder to set in the pencil and just go over all the areas where I applied my pencil earlier. And I like to use a pencil and a powder because I just find it lasts so much longer. So I'm just using this to create small hairs. I like this palette because you can mix in the shades, so I can use the lighter powder at the front where I don't want them to look so boxy, and then the darker powder mixed in with the light, the sort of arch area where I want them to look most intense. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in with my spoolie again and just brush through them to make them look a bit more natural. To set them in place, I'm going to use the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. Just brush that through to set them in place, and I like a clear brow gel because they already have enough product, so otherwise they just end up looking too much. Okay, onto eyelashes. I'm going to use the Kevyn Aucoin eyelash curler, and I'm just going to curl them in, and then I'm going to use my favourite mix of mascaras, Too Faced. I'm going to apply a layer of this, and I really like this mascara because it's super separating. I've mentioned it in a favourites before. But it's not, I mean, it's a little bit thickening, but it's especially lengthening, and it's very hydrating, so it really separates, there's no clumps, and it really lengthens your eyelashes. And I never usually like these kind of brushes, but this one is really good, and I find that actually I can get really into the corner of my lashes, even though the brush is quite big. Then I'm going to top that off with the Push Up Drama Mascara by Maybelline, which adds loads and loads of volume. And if it was just an everyday look, I would do this and call it a day. But for the look I had in the Charlotte Tilbury video, I did apply some falsies, and I applied the ones by Fleur de Force, the half lashes, Fleur Loves, which I've spoken about before, so I will be applying those in a little bit. But to be fair, if it was just for everyday, this gives you super dramatic lashes. I'm going to apply another coat of this on my top lashes. Super intense. Like, people, I've never had so many compliments. People honestly think I'm wearing fake lashes when I wear this mix. I mean, I don't know how well the camera is picking that up, but my eyelashes are super intense right now. Okay. Gonna go in with powder contour now. First I'm gonna bronze up my face using the Havana powder from the Anastasia Contour Kit. And I'm just using this Charlotte Tilbury cheek brush. And I'm applying this over my cheekbones. And this is to kind of warm up the face a little bit. I'm applying a little bit of this around my forehead. Kind of any areas where the sun would hit you, center of my nose, center of my chin. Especially now in summer, I like to look a little bit bronzed. And then I'm going to go in with the contour powder by Rodial. I really like this one. It's super finely milled, super natural looking. And I'm just going to apply this where I applied the cream contour earlier. Circular motions to blend it in. Underneath my chin to kind of hide any double chin. Then I'm taking it on the sides of the face and all the way up to my temples. And this is because this is quite chubby for me, so I want to slim it down. But I do it only with the powder and not with the cream because I don't want it to look too intense. And then I'm taking a little bit underneath my jawline and then here on the back to create a shadow there because that makes you look a lot slimmer. And then I'm going to take the E100 Sigma Fluffy Brush and I'm going to use the same contour powder to contour my nose. Taking this all the way in a straight line from the kind of center middle part of my nose all the way to the tip, and then contouring the tip to make it look a little bit lifted. And then I'm going to take what's remaining of the secret powder, the Laura Mercier one, on my sponge, and I'm just going to use this to blend out the nose contour so that it doesn't look too harsh. I'm going to go in with blush, and I was using the Charlotte Tilbury Ecstasy blush, a mix of the two colours, all over my cheeks using this same brush I used to contour. And then I'm going to use the blush in Fast Love. I'm going to be using this bigger brush by Dior, just to blend that in. Using a fan brush, I'm going to go in with highlighter, and I'm using the Becca Champagne Pop. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this. You don't want to be too heavy-handed. Using this on the top of my cheekbones, taking it almost in a C shape on around this area, because this sort of goes in a little bit for me, so I want to highlight that to make it pop. I also want to take it a little bit onto my brow bone, and then I'm taking a little bit down the center of my nose, Cupid's bow, my chin, and above the arches of my brows. And then I'm just going to take the same blush brush just to blend it all in without taking any more product. To finish off with lips, I'm going to use my Soar Lip Liner by MAC. Look at how tiny that is. But I love this colour. And I'm just going to line my lips, making them a little bit thicker on the corners. I'm using NARS Anita lipstick. It's a really nice pink. Quite a muted pink, so it's quite nice. And then I'm going to take this lip gloss by Guerlain, which is the Gloss Denfert, and I think this one is in the little black dress. And I'm just going to use this on the center of my lips. And to finish off, I'm going to take a little bit of this Urban Decay setting spray, and I always apply this no matter if it's daytime, nighttime, whatever. And I'm just literally going to do a few spritzes of this on my face, because that's just going to make the makeup last all day. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to go and put on some falsies, and I'll come back to show you the final look. Okay guys, well that's everything from me. I've put on some lashes and I'm back. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was quite long, but there was a lot to get through. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you stay tuned for the new launch of my site and the new stuff that's going to be coming on the channel. There's lots of new content coming your way, so I hope you're excited for that. Lots more fashion, lots of cooking, lots of new things. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!